Hi, my name is Linda Bloom and I am the Chair and Founder of the Overcoming MS charity. We are now in our 10th year of empowering the MS community through healthy lifestyle choices, creating a world in which living a full and healthy life with MS is possible. In this special series, 10 Minutes with George, Living Well with MS host Jeff Alex speaks with Professor George Jelinek, founder of the Overcoming MS program. You'll hear about the origins of the evidence-based program, tips on changing your life for life, and about the future of overcoming MS. We really hope you enjoy the episode.
Welcome to the second edition of 10 Minutes with George, where we're joined by the founder of Overcoming MS, George Jelinek. Welcome back, George.
Thanks very much, Jeff.
And as before, we've got a few quick questions for people to get more of an understanding about the OMS program. So to start off with, we've heard people talk about cheating. And does that make sense to you? And what would you call it if you were cheating on the program?
Look, I've never actually used the word, and I've never understood how it can be used in relation to the OMS program. I mean, it sort of, the word cheating implies that there's sort of some kind of external authority who's making rules and you're disobeying them, essentially. And we've never been about that at OMS. We don't make rules. I mean, we offer choices for people based on the best evidence, and then it's up to people to decide for themselves whether they want to take all of them, some of them, how much of them they want to take. Cheating sort of doesn't make sense in that context, really.
And so if people, let's say not cheating, but let's say they either consciously or unconsciously slip up, and this has happened to me. So I was given the wrong meal once, and I ate some food that had cheese in it, and I swallowed it, and then I kind of realised, I thought that wasn't right. That sauce was, and I said, and they went, oh no, that's, and then the restaurant go into a panic because they think that you've got something that's going to kill you in 2 minutes, which thankfully isn't the case. But then I was sort of taking the approach, well, actually, I mean, I lived many years eating dairy. I wasn't having a relapse every time I had something with dairy in it. And the way I took it was, it's a bit like rolling the dice. If you roll a double six, you're going to get a relapse. Best thing to do is not roll the dice. But ultimately, I rolled the dice then. I was fine. It was okay. I thought, no point in getting stressed about it. Nothing I can do about it. Carry on. But what would you say? What would you say is the most important thing to do if they do consciously or unconsciously slip up on the program?
Oh, look, I think they're two very different things, conscious and unconsciously slipping up. But the sort of situation you describe, I mean, it's important to remember what the aim of the program is. And the aims of the program really are your good health in the long term. This is about sort of your health in 20, 30 years' time will reflect the whole range of things you've done, of your daily activities over all that time. And that's true for in general or in any illness. So the occasional slip up in that context is essentially largely irrelevant. It's when it becomes an intentional thing or becomes a habit, so that you think, well, when I go out, I'll ask questions about, but I won't be too fussed if there's a bit of cheese in it. I'll have it anyway. That's a different thing than finding you've eaten something that you didn't know had cheese in it. And the difficulty with that second sort of scenario is that it can become a habit and become a way of life, and then gradually you start slipping outside the guardrails, essentially, as Jack McNulty puts it in the chapter on food in the OMS handbook. And the guardrails are sort of there as broad guidelines to stop you falling outside what's going to be good for your health. So if you find that over time you're gradually increasing your intake of dairy products, so the dairy protein in particular, or saturated fat, then you're not going to get as much benefit as if you stay faithful to the actual program. So, you may choose to do that because of any number of reasons, and that's a personal choice, and you can certainly make that choice if that's what you want to do, but it's important to know what the science says the consequence of that will be. And it's likely that you won't get as much benefit as if you did adhere to it.
And if someone's struggling with the program, what would you say or suggest for someone who's struggling to follow the OMS program?
I always think it's useful to look at intention and motivation. I find those really critical things for most people. That if there's a struggle, an inner struggle going on around this, then trying to actually get some help and understand what that struggle's about, I think, is useful. To know, is that related, for instance, to not valuing oneself, not valuing one's health, because of perhaps the way we've been brought up or whatever. I mean, there's all sorts of different reasons why a sense of not really placing yourself and your own health as important in your life would manifest in not doing everything that you can to try and stay well. I mean, that's one way of looking at it. I guess there are other reasons why people might struggle to stay on the program. For instance, it might be really difficult or inconvenient when they've got small children. They're preparing meals in a hurry and so on. And I guess there it's pretty useful from my experience to look for some peer support. And the best kind of peer support always for me comes from other people who are on the program, who understand what you're trying to do. And that's where I think the circles really come in to be very helpful for a lot of people.
And how about if someone is challenged by a lack of support? You mentioned circles, but it could be, there's obviously their family as well, or life events that are affecting them. There could be traumatic life events. How do they manage that sort of journey?
Yeah, that's life, isn't it? That sort of up and down roller coaster of life, where sometimes things are easy and sometimes things are hard, and that's actually the nature of it. And I mean, everyone will find their own different solutions. I think the support issue is a pretty key one, though, for most people, and particularly for what I've really seen over the years is that the support of a partner is pretty crucial. And in the days when retreats were common, it was always a really sound bit of advice to bring your partner with you to the retreat. But the same really applies to the resources that are available now, and a little bit of gentle encouragement of a partner to read the OMS handbook or some parts of it, or read the OMS book. When partners came to the retreat, we'd often find that their highly sceptical attitude at the beginning of the retreat was replaced with a total commitment by the end to not only support their partner, but to do everything they could for their own health, because they would come to realise actually how important it is to stay well for themselves.
Okay, that's the final question for this episode, so thank you very much for joining us.